Yesterday we had an opportunity to listen to Honorable Dr. D.C. Katot sir and Dr. Lavaika sir on different regulatory affairs on Ayurveda drug licensing, marketing, and the patenting. It's a great pleasure for me to open the session, and salutations to the Almighty to empower us with the wisdom, knowledge, humanity, and kindness to serve the society with the quality medicines. Today's topic of discussion is on herbal formulations with respect to the classical and proprietary medicines. In today's scenario, we found only a handful of practitioners who prepare medicines for themselves and they prescribe it to the patients. So there is a need and there is a demand. There was a emerging there were different manufacturing industries in the field, and they are bound by the rules and the regulations and the different provisions of the Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940. Ayurveda drugs actually marketed today are of mainly two kinds we found. One is the classical medicine and the second one is the proprietary medicines. For a classical medicines, we have to find a reference in any authenticated Ayurveda literatures, that is Samhitas or AFI or authoritative books which are prescribed in the Schedule 1 of Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940. And there we need to have very much act as prescribed in the classical guidelines about the ingredients and about the proportion of the ingredients, even with the indication of the ingredients. And the second category that we get is of the proprietary medicines. In the proprietary medicines, there are the certain formulations. These are the formulations which have their own combinations, and the combinations with their own proportion and the method of preparation will be owned by an individual or the corporation under a specific trademark. As yesterday, our respected Dr. D.C. Katot sir was mentioning certain examples of Nisha Amalaki instead of Nisha, and we can go with the Neem and Amalaki. So there, the thing is that the ingredients which we take in the formulations should be mentioned in the authoritative textbooks which are prescribed in the Schedule 1 of Drug and Cosmetic Act. In the same way, if we go with another example of Vasa, in the classical reference, we get the presentation of the Vasa in a Avaleha form and the Churna form. If the same Vasa has been presented in the market in the form of a lozenges or in any another dosage form like an aqueous extract of the Vasa, then they can be named under the proprietary medicines. So here our today's speaker will be throwing more light on these classical and the proprietary medicines. Different clauses are there and different regulations are there attached to these classical and the proprietary medicines. And it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. R.B. Goody sir to the Significant EE Forum. Sir has completed his BMS degree from Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya, Hubballi, Karnataka, and he has secured his post-graduation from TGAMC, Bellary, Karnataka. And sir has attended more than 20 national and international seminars and workshops, and he has presented more than 5 scientific papers in national and international seminars. And he has worked in research projects of Ministry of Ayush and CCRAS, and he is having more than 15 years of experience in manufacturing of classical and Ayurveda medicines. And sir has published more than 6 scientific research articles in various national and international journals. And sir is involved in the production of authentic Ayurveda products, development of new products, quality monitoring, research and development, and coordinating preclinical and clinical projects. And sir is presently working as a manager in the production department at the Sri Dud Papeshwar Limited company. Sir is going to speak on the rationality of herbal formulation with special reference to classical and proprietary drugs. So please, you can share your presentation.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, madam, for giving a wonderful platform for the today's topic. And I first of all thank Parul University for involving us to present our point of view. And special thanks to Dr. Toshikane and Dr. Kulkarni sir and Prasanna Matat sir and Anita madam. So today I'm going to speak on the rationality of the herbal formulations, yes, with special reference to both classical and proprietary medicine. As Madam has explained, what are classical medicines and what are proprietary medicines already. So let's begin our presentation. The herbal drugs are always used in any medicines all throughout the world. Even in Ayurveda, it is being used since ages. In all medical systems, the naturally available herbs are were used in abundantly. In our Indian system also, we get references from the Vedic period, that is more, earlier to 5000 BC. In our Brahatrais and Lagutrais also, we get a lot of references. In Brahatrais, we get at least not less than 1200 different plant species mentioned in this. And in other texts like Lagutrais and all, the formulations up to 8 to 9,000 formulations have been mentioned in this. During this presentation, I am going to speak on certain principles which were followed earlier and also are being followed in current era also by pharmacists to develop the new formulations. Those principles are based on fundamental Ayurvedic principles, are holding true to current scenario also. New drug development is always a progressive step, and it is being happen. In Ayurveda, if we search all the our samhitas and then Lagutrais and all, we can see there is a always development of new drugs. The why it is happening? Because the advantages of herbal products are they are eco-friendly, they are economical, they help in treating a lot of chronic disorders. There are very minimal side effects, even if it has more side benefits. And the time required for developing these herbal formulation is very less in comparison to chemical formulations. That chemical formulations like allopathic drugs and all are very time consuming, and our success rate are very minimal. Some article was suggesting that there is the requirement for development of a new chemical moiety, that chemical medicine, is around $2.6 billion, and the time duration required to develop such a formulation from identifying a chemical compound to bring it to the market is around 12 years. And even after doing such thing, the success rate is very minimal. It also stated that only 5 in 5,000 such molecules enter into preclinical study, and one among those 5 are being approved by the FDA. And even after approving, there is only chance of only 20% of these drugs make the money. These disadvantages are not with the herbal formulations. Why? Because we have a ocean of knowledge in the ocean of knowledge in the as mentioned in our textual books, Brahatrais, Lagutrais, so many things. There is also observational knowledge. There is also botanical information easily available for all Ayurvedic herbs. There is a lot of folklore knowledge also present, which we can use. And we have a history of more than thousands of years of developing new products. So based on that references, we can develop a formulation which can get easily approved by the law of land. Some uh, another article wherein WHO has stated that 3.4 billion people in developing world are using the herbal medicine. They may be using in Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, or any other local traditional medicines. So it covers almost 88% of the world inhabitants who rely mainly on traditional medicine in their primary health care. So there is a lot of scope for development of herbal formulation. So after doing this necessity of this, we can go to the our regulation. What regulation is stating about the drugs? The as Madam has already said, Drugs and Cosmetic Act 140 is the one which regulates the manufacturing of medicine in India. It applies to all allopathy, Ayurveda, homeopathy, everything. Here, drug has been mentioned as the one which is intended to diagnose, treat, mitigate, prevent the disease in humans and also in animals. And drug can be used internally or externally. But these are to be manufactured as per the references from the books mentioned in the first schedule. First schedule is a list of books wherein 57 Ayurvedic textbooks are mentioned. The drugs to be manufactured as per the references from these texts only. Then again further it has been classified into classical as well as patent and proprietary medicines. Classical is the one which is prepared as per the reference mentioned in those books of first schedule, that is authoritative text. Their ingredients and method of preparation should be as per the reference. While as proprietary medicine is the one wherein any company or anyone who wants to develop his own medicine can take the idea from the idea or reference from those authoritative books and make his own formulation. These are actually nowadays again classified into 4 types. One is if we take the ingredients as mentioned in the authoritative book and mix it and we make a formula, and it is called as a proprietary medicine. The another one is Balya Poshaka or positive health promoter, that is like nutritional products. There is Saundarya Prasadaka Varga, which is like beauty products, and Aushadha Ghana. Here it can be extracts, water soluble extracts, or what it may be hydroalcoholic soluble extracts. Based on that, any medicine can be prepared. So mainly Ayurvedic medicines are divided into 2. One is classical and patent. Another one is the proprietary medicine. The dosage form of these can be as in the list. See, we can use the raw drug, that is crude drugs itself as it is, or the extracts, or the classical forms like Asavarishta, Arka, Avaleha, Kwata Churna or Churna, Gugulu, Ghrita, Taila, Lavana, Shara, Lepa, Vati, Netrabindu, Parpati, etc. These are all the classical dosage forms which are available in our textbooks. There are another forms as a part of proprietary medicines we are nowadays developing. These are syrup, ointment, capsule, granules, confectionaries, dusting powder, tablets, suppository, etc. So, if we go through this all our Ayurvedic texts, there are abundant of formulations. There are different dosage forms also. Then the question arises: do we really need new products in current scenario also? So the answer is yes. We always need it. If we go. See, it is stated in shlokas that in every yuga, the quality of a medicine or a rogi reduces to 1/4 always. The quality of the herb keeps on reducing. Quality of sattva and bala of the rogi also reduces. To meet that and to cater the same desired result, one has to develop the new formulation. If we go to our ancient texts, there also we can see the development of the new products. Earlier there is only herbal churnas, then there was formulations like Ghrita, Taila, etc. And in the medieval period we got the new dosage forms like Bhasma, Kupipakva Rasayana, Rasaushadhis, etc. Even there is a improvement in the product also. Earlier, if you see this reference of reference of Chavanprash in Charaka Samhita and also in Sharangadhara, there is a difference of ingredients. In Charaka used only 5 of the Ashtavargas, while as in Sharangadhara, there he increased this Ashtavarga to 7. So even Sharangadhara also found that immunity in the people is being reduced. Hence, he found that it is necessary to add some more ingredients to make it more potent. Currently, in the recent years, we are getting Chavanprash with fortified with Suvarna Bhasma, Rajata Bhasma, and other Rasayana Dravyas. So there is always a need of improvement, or there is a need of new formulation. If you go to the if you find if you search for Rajapravatini yogas, earlier yogas were only containing Kasisa, Kankana, Hingu, and Kumari. They were enough to do the Raja Pravartana. But recent texts, they have added even Gajar Beej, Vamshamul, etc. to make it more efficacious. So the development of new products and improvement of the medicine is a continuous process, and it was happening and it will happen also. There is always a requirement of Vaidya or Rogi. Even if you see in current scenario of COVID-19, see, we have to, many Vaidyas, many companies are trying to develop new formulations based on the principles of Ayurveda to combat this pandemic. Such things keep on happening. So the development of new product is always there. There are some advanced technologies always coming, like currently we are doing this extracts, water soluble extracts and hydroalcoholic extracts. These are giving better products also, so these are being adopted in our Ayurvedic medicines. And Ayurveda is always a evolving science, hence the part of new formulation development is always happening. There is the two methodology has been followed in all the science, even it is allopathy or Ayurveda. There is two methodology to develop a new product. That is one traditional way, that is forward pharmacology. The another one is the reverse pharmacology. Forward pharmacology is the one wherein we identify the drug, we assess it, then its guna, rasa, virya, vipaka, karma, everything is assessed, and then we use it in the desired diseases. Reverse pharmacology is the one wherein we identify the target organ or target effect, and we develop the formulation based on the action required. Like in Shwasa, if it has to be Vatanalomaka, Kafahara, then we have to find out the Ushna Guna Yukta Dravya, Ushna Virya, and Vatanalomaka Dravyas, and make a combination and prepare the formulation. This is always followed earlier also, and currently also it is being followed. Let's come to our main crux of the presentation. That is what are the rationalities applied in designing the new product. I am taking certain quotations from the ancient texts, which are stated in different contexts, but they make a sense when we form a rationality to develop a new product. These shlokas will be critically analyzed, and how it has been, theory hypothesis is formulated while designing the drugs. First one is the common shloka which we have read in Ashtanga Hridaya, that is Bahukalpam Bahuganam Sampannam Yogyam Aushadam. Here Bahukalpa means Swarasa Kalka Kvata Churna Dibihi. That is, it can be Swarasa, Kalka, Churna, Vati, Asva, Arishta, Kvata, etc. In any form. A drug should be of different form. As you see in our current practice also, we use same drug in different forms. Like Guduchi can be used in Churna form or in Kvata form, Ghana form, Sattva also, and in Ghana can be converted into Samshaminimati also. Many polyherbal formulations like Amrutottara Kashaya, Amrutarishta, etc. are being used as of now. So hence a Guduchi can fit into a Aushada because it is having Bahukalpa. Same is with Amalaki, which can be used in Churna, Avaleha, Swarasa, etc. So we have so many kalpas. So while designing a drug, we have to select which dosage form, that is kalpa, is more effective. A study has been conducted with stress-induced stress-induced ulcer, which has been treated with ST churna, ST sharkara, and ST grita. While doing that, it has been found that ST grita is more effective than ST churna and ST sharkara. So, if we are making any formulation which are acting on the any peptic ulcer or something, then it is useful to use the ST grita in this formulation. So, Aushadha can be of different forms based on our requirement, where it has to be used. We have to use that particular form. Bahuguna. Bahuguna is always any drug is having different gunas. Among 20, that may be having majority of gunas. It can be having many of the rasas, virya, vipaka, and all. And they are always a single herb can also act in a broad spectrum as per Ayurveda. Along with intended action, they also yield the side benefits rather than side effects. So, our drugs act on different systems and different doshas, dhatus, etc. So, whenever formulate a drug, we have to use their particular guna, and we have to enhance that guna and reduce that unwanted guna. Or if it is not interfering with our action, then let it be. Or otherwise, we have to subside that unwanted gunas in this one. The third one is the sampanna. Sampanna means medicine needs to be effective and at the same time, na vipannaha. It should not cause the side effect. This is the main principle which has to be followed while designing any formulation. There are certain herbs which have their innate quality of creating vipannas. For example, Vishadravyas. Vishadravyas are always having a toxic effect. So how we have to handle here? We have to apply the Shodhana procedure, or even after applying Shodhana procedure, if the toxicity is not reduced and it's still causing the vipanna, then we have to use the antidotes. Like Vatsanabha is always used with the Kankana or Maricha, like this. So the principle is that we should the formulation, whenever we form the formulation, there should not be vipanna, and it should be yogya. Yogya, here it is stated that it is suitable for usage. It should be suitable based on rogi, desha, kala, dosha, etc. And also it is easily administrable, and it should be always palatable. And palatability and ease of administration are also the last and important point in designing any formulation. Okay, we got this different forms, different gunas, and different the sampannata of the medicine, na vipannata, and yogyata. That is, the above shloka gives a broad idea of designing the medicine. That is, dosage form, qualities of the drug, target organ, effect and side effect, and mode of administration. And these all 4 points has to be considered while designing any formulation. After considering these points, then what is the basic idea of our formulation? Whenever we do the formulation, it has to be alpasyapi mahartatvam. That is, medicine should be effective in smaller doses. Hence, efforts to be made to make this effective in smaller doses. Like some of the activities like sanyoga, vishlesha, kala, samskara, yukti should be applied to make any medicine which is effective in small dose. Alpa matropa yogitva. That is what the aim of any medicine. Here, sanyoga means addition or combination. Vishlesha is the analysis, separation, or isolation. Kala, it can be time or season. Or kala can be aushadha sangrahana kala, or processing time, or aushadha sevana kala. There is multiple ways we can analyze this. Samskara, as you all know, samskaro hi gunantaradhanam toyagni sannikarshasha. So process that does the gunantaradhanam. Samskaro hi gunantaradhanam. That is what we have to apply the samskar. Yukti, we had to do some experiments, trials to come out with the desired result of any formulation. If we combine here, if we want to achieve the alpasya mahartatvam, either we have to do sanyoga, that is combination of the same samana virya dravya, like it can be physical combination also. In Trikatu, we all Ushna Virya, Katu Rasatmaka Ushna Virya dravyas are combined and it becomes a Trikatu, which is more effective. Or you have to do it in a combination like Bhavana of Pipali to Pipali Churna for Chaushashta Prahara, that is Chaushashta Prahara Pipali, that makes it Sanyoga, and the dose of that Pipali is reduced when administration. Vishlesha is the isolation or suppression. Here we can many dosage forms. We have Panchavida Kashaya Kalpana. There is Swarasa is there. There is Kwatha is there. Here Kwatha is the one where the water soluble extracts are to be separated from the main herb and is to be given. Here Vishlesha is water soluble extractives are taken out of this. And if we want the fat soluble extracts, then we prepare the Ghrita, Taila, etc. If we want to do alcohol soluble, then we can do Asavarishta. And current scenario, there is easily we can separate the alkaloids. If Pipali is there, we want to only use a small quantity of the Pipali. We can and we want the effect of only piperin. So we separate the piperin, that is the alkaloid, from the Pipali, and we use it single alkaloid. That is called Vishlesha. Here, Kala is also very much important. Kala can be Aushadha Sangrahana Kala or processing time, Aushadha Sevana Kala. In our text, we get the references of Aushadha Sangrahana Kala, wherein Shakha Patra to be collected in Varsharatu, Moolas in summer or late winter, bark and tubers in autumn, etc. These are not just references, because some studies have been carried out wherein the Parijata is collected all throughout the year for 6 Rutus, and their efficacy was analyzed, and the one which collected in the September was more anti-inflammatory, if it was showing more anti-inflammatory effect than the other 5 samples. So always the here while processing also Aushadha Sangrahana Kala is also very much important. Also, when we do processing, like in Chaushashta Prahara Pipali, as I said, Chaushashta Prahara has to be the Pipali has to be triturated for 192 hours. That is Chaushashta Prahara continuously with Pipali Kwatha. So that Chaushashta Prahara is also very much important. While doing Sandhana, there is a requirement of 21 days for certain products that we have to follow. Otherwise, it alters the quality of the medicine. Then comes the Sanskara. Sanskaro hi gunantaradhanam. Here, Mardana, Bhavana, Churnikarana, etc. Other Sanskaras have always been advocated to make the product more effective. As Yukti, I said, the trials, and we had to take much more trials, and we had to experiment to make it more effective. The same principle can apply to Prabhutasya Alpa Karmata, wherein we don't we can increase the quantity, but the karma has to be minimized. This is the there are some certain example I can give you. If we want to make a tablet of certain small dosage forms, like Suvarna Bhasma, we have to make is 1/8 Rati tablet. So 1/8 is only 16 milligram. So we can't make a tablet out of it. Then we can add the excipients into it and make the tablet. This is called one of the Prabhutasya Alpa Karmata. Other one is the as I already said, that Vatsanaba, which is a cardiotoxic. If you use it in the crude form, it is going to cause the toxicity. So we have to do Samanya Shodhan followed by Vishesha Shodhan. That is Samskara is being done, and then we have to add the antidotes like Shodhita Tankana, Maricha to make its toxic effect to reduce its toxic effect. This is what Prabhutasya Alpakarmata by Sanyoga Vishlesha Samskara Yukti. See, here I can give you one example also. As we in current scenario, this ashwagandha is being stated that some trials have been taken in COVID, and they found that ashwagandha is very effective. So they want to use ashwagandha in patients. If the easily dosage form is either it can be churna or it can be tablet. Churna, the dosage is 3 to 6 gram per day. So some people may feel it very awkward to take it in the churna form. So any pharma company will think that it can be converted into tablet form. If you convert it to tablet form, the ideal active dose can be around 500 mg, which is easily administrable. That is yogya form. So if you make 500 mg active dose, we have to give a 6 to 12 tablets per day, which is very cumbersome for any Vaidya to suggest and any patient to take also. So here we have to apply these principles, and we can convert that tablet into more effective in smaller dose. Like either you can take the extract of the ashwagandha from 3 gram, whatever the quantity you get the extract based on the reduction ratio, and make the tablet. Or you can take the 500 mg of the churna of the ashwagandha, or give bhavana of ashwagandha kvata of from the rest 2.5 mg to 2.5 gram, prepare the kvata and give bhavana to ashwagandha, as we do as it is stated in our text, and prepare the tablet. This will help us in the reducing the dose of the tablet, that is alpasyapi mahartatham. These are the principles which we use in day to day, but for formulating the new products. And in further to that shloka, there is a another how to design these drugs is also been stated. This is a either forward pharmacology or reverse pharmacology, wherein we have to identify the pradhana dravya. Many of our products, for example, Sitopaladi Churna, Talisadi Churna, Dhatri Avleha, Nishamalaki, etc., are named after the pradhana dravya. So pradhana dravya has to be identified first, and based on the effect, we can enhance their desired qualities or diminish the unwanted quality, and we prepare the formulation, our new formula. Otherwise, we have to identify the target organ where it has to be given, and then based on the target, we have to identify the drug, and its quality has to be enhanced by adding the samana virya dravya, or unwanted quality can be reduced by adding the viruddha virya dravya. Here also care to be taken while adding the viruddha virya dravya. The pradhana karma of the pradhana dravya, it should not be affected. If we have if we add the samana virya dravya to it, its main pradhana dravya, pradhana karma has to increase, but it should not interfere with the other properties. This care has to be taken. If we are not requiring a certain property of the pradhana dravya, some antagonistic drug or opposite quality or viruddha virya dravya has to be mixed. However, care to be taken that main action is not altered. Or same, if you want to increase the potency of the same drug, like subhavitam hi alpamapi dravya, so we have to triturate the main dravya with the Vatha or Swarasa of the same dravya. As I said in the ashwagandha tablet, same the example what we get in the text is with the Amalaki Churna given Bhavana with Amalaki Swarasa. While doing these activities, care needs to be taken that the rasa, gandha, sparsha, varna are not to be damaged or altered, or it should be as per the desired quality only. See, where we are doing a combination, we are giving a bhavana, or we are treating with some other thing, but the color should not become very ugly, and taste should not lose its palatability, and there should not be a foul smell. These care has to be taken while designing the formulation. After this, we can go to another next formulating technique, which were said in different context, but we can use it in current scenario also. That is Dashavidha Karanas. In Charaka Vimanasthana, he has said 10 Karanas: Karana, Karana, Karyayoni, Karya, Karyaphala, Anubandha, Desha, Kala, Pravrutti, Upaya. We can use these principles in designing any formulation. Here, Karana is the Vaidya, because he is the one who is going to use these medicines in his clinical practice. So, what Charaka has said, that Vaidya can decide use a Karana, that is Aushadha, in his clinical practice and decide how it can be used. Here also, the same principle we can apply. And maybe, I don't know, this is the reason why our regulatory regulations also mention that there should be any Vaidya in any pharmacy who can look after the production, who can help in designing any formulation. And this is being followed by majority of Ayurvedic companies. And because while designing any formulation, the Ayurveda Chikitsa Siddhantas has to be maintained. We should not compromise with these ethos. Next is the Karana. Here the main Aushadha, what we are going to design. That is the new formulation. For designing this, we have to understand the Karyayoni. The Karyayonis are Guna, Virya, Rasa, Vipaka, etc. of these Karana. Based on this only Karana were. Hence, we have to do the proper study of the Karyayoni. And based on Karyayoni, the Karya, that is pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamic of the drug, is decided. So we have to assess the Karya of the Dravya, and based on that Karya Phala, that is the result, the treatment we can achieve. While doing this, there should not be Anubandha, that is consequences. The side effects should not be there. Such care we have to take. Desha, here, Desha, in that concept, it can be Deha or Desha, everything. But here we can take it as a natural habitat. The medicines, what you collect, should be from the natural habitat. It should not be from cultivated anywhere else and it can be used. And Kala, as earlier I stated, Kala can be Aushadha Sangrahana Kala, Aushadha processing time, or Aushadha Sevana Kala here. Pravrutti is the experiment. The consistent effort has to be put to develop a medicine. Upaya is all the drug designing activities, what we use. Let me give you an example with this. Here, a Vaidya want to treat a Shwasa, and here he want a Karana, that is Aushadha, which are Shwasahara Dravyas. Then what he has to do? He has to consider the Karyayoni, that is Katurasa, Ushna Virya, Ushna Guna, everything. That type of drugs has to combine together. And what is the Karya it should do? It should do Vatanadomaka, Kafahara, and Srotoshodhaka. Shrotoshodham. Then what Karya Phala he will get? The Shwasa Nivritti. So here the one Anubandha. What can be the Anubandha? The side effect? Pitta Vruddhi can be seen. Hence, any formulation while designing, he has to take care that even adding Ushna Guna, Katurasa, Ushna Virya, has to take care that there should not be any Pitta Vruddhi. So he has to compensate with the other drugs or other procedures. And the Desha, it has to be collected from the natural habitats as said. And Kala, the same, the Aushadha Sangrahana Kala, the medicine has to be collected in particular seasons as stated earlier. That is Shakha and Patra should be collected in the Varsha Rutu, Moolas in the Grishma Rutu, and bark or tubers in the autumn. And here he has to try different trial and errors so that he can achieve the desired formulation. Based on that, he can make a protocol and do the planning of the further processing. This is one example we can give this Talisad Churna, which fits in all the above principles. It has Shwasahara Dravyas, that is gunas required treating the Shwasa, that is Vatanuromaka, Kafahara, Srotoshodaka. And here the care also has been taken that there is no Pitta Vruddhi also. So we can see these principles which were followed in our classical medicines also. I can give you some more examples, like while designing a classical or patent medicine. If we want to make a Trifla Gukul, which is commonly used one. If we want to make Trifla Gukul, Gukul is the one of the main ingredient along with Trifla. So here there is a different methods of Shodhana have been mentioned in for Gukul. There is Samanya Shodhan, there is Vishesh Shodhan. Here, what if we do Trifla Vishesha Shodhita Gukul and use that Gukul in a Trifla Gukul, it will be more effective because of its synergistic action. And for doing that Samanya Shodhan, Vishesh Shodhan, Gukul's gastric irritation property also reduces. So there is no Vipana of the Gukul. And for another example, which we can see is Kanchanara Gukul. Where is Kanchanara Gukul is mainly used in Gandamala, Apache, Arbuda, Gulma, etc. These are the activities of the main dravya, that is Kanchanara. We have added the Gukul and Varanatvaka in this one to make a synergetic action along with Kanchanara and become more effective. There is the addition of Trifala, and we here prefer the Gukul, which is also Trifala Shodhit, so that there is no reduction of Kapha and Pitta along with the Agdimandya. And because of Trifala, it acts as a Bhedana Karma and helps in treating the Gandamala, Apache, Arbuda, etc. It also enhances the activity of the Kanchanara. Trikatu, which is used in this formulation, is also bioavailable enhancer, and is also Amapachaka, which are very much required while treating the Gandamala. Here, Trijataka is used, which Trijataka is mainly used for Urdhva Chaturgata Vyadhis, and this has also been added in this formulation. So all these synergistic properties of all these ingredients work together and make Kanchanara Gukul more effective. And if we go to Vasavaleha, Vasavaleha is indicated in Raja Yakshma, Pitta Jakasa, and Rakta Pitta, etc. Vasavaleha is main ingredient is Vasa. That is Vasa is having Tiktarasa and Rukshaguna. It reduces the Kapha, but at the same time it increases the Vata also. So to pacify the Vata, that is Anubandha, that is increasing Vata Vruddhi due to Vasa is the Anubandha of the Vasa. So we have to reduce it by adding Ghrita or Ghrita Prishta Pipali. Pipali here once reduces the Vata, also it also enhances the effect of Vasa. Ghrita, Sharkara and Madhu are also being added to make it more palatable, Yogya, or to achieve the Ishta Rasa. Even also Ishta Varna and Ishta Gandha also. These are the basic principles where Ayurveda states we can get in Ayurveda for developing the new formulations. If we go to parallelly the allopathic drugs also, the same principles like either forward pharmacology or reverse pharmacology are being used to design a drug. Currently, there are two types of drug design. Drug identification is being done in allopathy, that is either ligand based or structure based. They identify the structure first, structure of a compound, and they see that whether that structure goes to the how that structure work in the body and how it reacts with the organs, and they design the further studies. That is structure based drug identification. The second one is ligand based. They identify this is the reverse pharmacology, wherein they identify the target organ and they identify the ligands where these drug can go and attach. Based on after identifying the ligand, they search for the such compounds, such chemical compound which can go and attach to that ligand, and based on that they develop the product. And currently these both ligand based and structure based are being done with the help of computers, and the efficacy of that molecule is also being done with the computer simulation methods. There are certain modules wherein they put this chemical compound and they see whether that module is shooting that set parameters, and then they say that it is effective or if it is not. Such advancement of technology has also been done in the allopathic form. Here, while designing also recently they have come up with a such module. One is that Lipinski rule of 5 or rule of 5. It is the very recently they have developed it. It indicates the absorption of a medicine. According to this rule of 5, there are 5 rules. Any compound should not fail more than 2 of these rules. That rules are the molecular weight needs to be less than 500 dalton, and it needs to be highly lipidophile, and donor should have less than 5 hydrogen bonds, and acceptor should have more than 10 hydrogen bonds, and molar activity should be between 40 to 130. They identify a drug and they check whether the absorption is happening or not based on these rules. However, these rules are not hard and fast. There are so many exceptions for these rules also. When we compare these rules and this type of technology with our Ayurvedic principle, we know that Ayurveda was also following these principles much earlier, because Lipinski rules has come in 1997, but in thousands of years before also our acharyas knew much more advanced technologies than these principles. Like if you want to do water solubility, if you want to extract the water soluble principles from any medicine, then we used to prepare the kwathas. And if we want to do lipid solubility, then we used to do taila and ghritas. And finer particles are always advised, vastragalita, even finer. If you go to bhasmas, even finer particles like up to the nanoparticles have been stated in different terms in Ayurvedic texts. So even if we compare with allopathic drug design technique, we can say that Ayurvedic the rationality and principles in designing a drug are well advanced, and we can just stick to our own principle and design a very good formulation. After following these principles, what we have to do is, what are the regulations? How we have to develop these in industry level, or in any small industry level, or any small grade? How to carry out this drug development activity? Once the principle we have designed the principle that is based on Ayurveda Chikitsa Siddhanta, then we have to take it for preparation, standardization, trials, and approvals. There are totally 8 stages. Initially, a market in any industries, a market assess the demand for certain products or certain segments, or certain therapeutic segments especially, and they give it to the R&D department that we want a product in these segments. Or once that demand is placed, the R&D department, where many of multi-speciality departments, like there's a QC department, QC person, there is a Ayurveda Vaidya, there is a chemist, everyone sit together, they do decide a formulation based on the Ayurvedic principle always. Or sometimes what happens, the R&D department feels that there is a lack of certain dosage form in the market, which we can push, we can manufacture, and we can put into the market. So first the demand is generated. Based on the once the demand is generated, the team has to do literary survey from Ayurvedic texts and published articles, and collect the clinical data of the ingredients, or is there any folklore claims for that ingredients or any classical evidences. They have to collect all the data and they have to make a one literary research of that. Once the literary research is done and the formula is set, the raw material has to be collected. While collecting the raw material, the one has to take care that the raw material has been cultivated by using the good agricultural practices. There is a set rules by the NMPB. There is a good agricultural practices for the medicinal herbs. So one has to follow that, and there is also good collection practices also mentioned in that. So the raw material has to be collected as per the good agricultural and good field collection practices. But also, very importantly, at this point of juncture, one has to see the grahya lakshanas of the medicine, that herb. If it is fitting into the grahya lakshana, then only it has to be collected. After collection, this has to be sent to the QC lab, and the standardization of identification and authentication and standardization of the raw material has to take place. First, Ayurvedic grahya lakshana has to be used, and then the pharmacognostic technologies are to be adopted here, and chemical assay, chemical or marker compounds has to be assessed in these herbs, and the identification and authentication has to be done. Once we have collected all the dravya that Purva Karma has already done, we have to set the SOP. SOP, if you are following the classical medicine, there is a set SOP as per the textual reference, and one has to follow as mentioned in the text. If it is a proprietary medicine, one has to design the SOP, that is standard operative procedure, and start manufacturing. Once we have to, first trial has to be taken and have to see whether the drug has been manufactured as per our expectation, and it has to be analyzed. If it is up to the expectation, the same procedure has to be repeated for 3 more times. Why 3 more times? Because the SOP which we have set is producing the same product and repeatedly. That is, reproducibility of the product has to be there. And once that we manufacture that product for 3 more times, then the standardization of that product has to be done. This standardization, it has to be organoleptic parameters. If Ayurvedic principles are there, Ayurvedic parameters are there, Ayurvedic parameters has to be applied, like Rasagandha Vipaka for bhasmas and all. It has to be bhasma pariksha and all bhasma pariksha, etc. And along with that, the physicochemical parameters has to be set. That is ash value, acid insoluble ash, water soluble extractive, alcohol soluble extractive, ethyl soluble extractive, etc. And assays has to be checked. For herbals, it should be marker compounds, and characterization has to be done. And after that, stability of the product has to be established. If it is a proprietary medicine, stability has to be conducted either by accelerated stability study or long-term stability study. Once it is done, all parameters are set and our product is standardized. Then this product, once standardized, it has to be taken for the preclinical study. That is safety study, wherein acute, subacute, chronic toxicity, if required, teratogenic or mutagenic toxicity has to be studied in the drug. So once the toxicity is studied and it proved that the product is safe, while is safe at particular dose. Even in while conducting the toxicity study, it has to be studied in multiple dose of the multiple dose of therapeutic dose. That is 1 time, 5 times, or 10 times. Then we have to set the actual dose. At this dose, this medicine is not toxic. Once the toxicity level is set, then it has to be assessed for its biological activity. That is the efficacy. Here, multiple methodologies are there. Even in vitro is there, in vivo is there. You can try in animals like albino rats, Mr. rats, or zebrafish, or whatever it may be. which is suitable for that action. That protocol has to set, and we have to establish its efficacy. Here, by doing this, we can also establish the pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics of our formulation. Once we understand this pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics of the drug, which is safe and which is also standardized, then we have to prepare a clinical protocol. Clinical protocol has to be as per the current guidelines. There is a set guidelines by CCRS and the Ministry of Ayush, which we have to follow. And while doing also, we should not deviate from the Ayurvedic principles. That is Ayurvedic Chikitsa Siddhanta. We should not deviate. The clinical protocol should incorporate that principle. After that, once clinical protocol is ready, we have to get the CTRI registration. That is a set protocol format for that. If we log in, we will get that format and we can register there. And we have to get the ethical committee permission to conduct the clinical trial. Once we are done with this, preparing the protocol, and we have to conduct the clinical trial. While conducting the clinical trial, one should monitor regularly and coordinate with the principal investigators and analyze the data. Once study is over, the data is analyzed, and either it can be used for publication or to seek the FDA approval. This is the total procedure for getting from designing a formulation to getting approval in the FDA, as per the norms of the Drugs and Cosmetic Act. Is it necessary to do all these steps for all these products, either if it is classical or it is a proprietary? No, there is a set rules for rules to get these approvals. For example, if it is a classical medicine which are manufactured as per the textual reference, and ingredients are as per the textual reference, and indications are also as mentioned in the text, then we need not give any safety study or proof of effectiveness. We have to give only published literature or textual references, and we can easily get the approval. If we change the dosage form, for example, if there is in classical medicine, there is only churna has been mentioned, or it has been we want to change the dosage form into different, like we want to make it quatha, or we want to make it any other form. Then we have to submit the published literature which can support this our claim. Rest other, like in the classical medicine, we will get the approval. Like we have to give only the support of the textual reference. If we are using, if we are claiming a different indication than of the text, there is we have found out that there is a different indication. We have sometime we have developed. We have with our research, we have found out that it is effective in other than the textual reference. Then we have to give such articles, and we have to prove the effectiveness through preclinical, clinical studies. For proprietary medicine, if we are designing as per the ingredients taken from the authoritative text, and there is a textual rationale for our drug, then we have to give up published literature for the ingredients, and we have to give a pilot study of the effectiveness. It need not be a big full-fledged clinical trial. Just a pilot study, and data has to be given. And if we are going to, we are manufacturing a formulation which contains Schedule E1 drugs. Schedule E1 drugs are the poisonous drugs, Vishadravyas, like Vatsanabha, Dattura Bija, Jaipala, etc. If we are using them as a ingredient, then we have to provide a safety data along with its effectiveness. So here we have to conduct a toxicity study that is acute, subacute and chronic toxicity, and also the pilot study of the clinical trial. That data we need to submit. There is another Ghana that have been explained in as a proprietary medicine in our drugs and cosmetic acts. For that, if aqueous extract is there or hydroalcoholic extract is there, we need not submit much of the data than the textual reference. That only we have to submit. If aqueous extract is being claimed for a new indication, then its effectiveness has to be proved. If hydroalcoholic alcohol extract also is to be tried in a new indication, then published literature along with its effectiveness data has to be provided. If other than aqueous and hydroalcoholic extract, any other extract has to be considered under Ayurvedic medicine, then we have to submit acute, chronic toxicity study, along with that mutagenicity and teratogenicity genicity data, and the published literature for its indication, and also the clinical efficacy has to be proved. So along this, we have there is another one study what I shortly mentioned earlier, that stability study. As per the 161B, there is a shelf life has to be mentioned in the label. For classical medicines like Anjana, Arka, Asavarishta, Avaleha, Churna, Grita, Gugulu, etc., there is a they have already given the shelf life for the for each and every products. Like Gugulu, there is a 5 years. For Rasaushadis, there is a 10 years. Gutivati with Rasaushadis is 10 years. Like that, there is a set life, set regulation that we have to follow. What if we are coming with a proprietary medicine? Then if we are coming with a proprietary medicine, we have to prove we have to submit the stability data. Stability of the product can be done in two ways, that is either accelerated stability study or long-term stability study. For accelerated stability study, we have to study it for 6 months, and for long-term, it has to be for minimum 12 months. These are the minimum time period. Accelerated is to be conducted 10 degree more than that of long-term stability study always. If we prove that while what we do here, there is a stability chamber. We keep our product packed as the product is to be marketed, like the container, blister, whatever it may be, bottle, whatever it may be. It has to be kept in that form in the stability chamber. For accelerated study, the storage condition should be like this, that if long term we have to maintain it normal ambient temperature is if it is 30 degrees centigrade, in accelerated study it should be kept in at the 40 degrees centigrade, and relative humidity should be at the 75 degree temperature. And for accelerated study, every 3rd month we have to study the parameters of that product. If the parameters that what I said earlier, physicochemical parameters, organoleptic parameters, assays, everything, everything has to be studied. If there is a deviation more than 20% in these products, then it is considered that the stability is not there up to that period. So for accelerated, we have to study it after 3 months, after 6 months, again at 9 months, again 12 months, again like that. It has to go on. If the product is stable after 12 months, then it is considered that the product is stable. The shelf life of the product is for 2 years. If it keeps on, if it is stable in further also 9 months or 12 months, then this shelf life of the product can be extended. So the same is for the long term. Here, this product has to be studied in the interval of 6 months, and if it is stable for 12 months, then it is considered that shelf life of the product is for 2 years. Like that, we have to do stability study and submit the data. These are all the steps we have to take care while designing a product and getting the approval from the FDA. Here, what is what we have done all these things is that the quality of a product is never by an accident. It is always a result of sincere, intelligent effort. And effort has to be put at different stages. Different stages. That is from raw material to finished product. That is what pravritti in our pravritti, yukti, different terms have been given in our Ayurvedic text. So, what I want to say, and before I conclude my presentation, that whenever you design a medicine, it should be authentic, authentic in terms of its references and the principles, Chikitsa Siddhantas, what you are going to apply, it should be as per the Ayurveda Chikitsa Siddhanta, and this needs to be, after applying that Siddhanta, the product has to be standardized. And then if we do authentic and standardized, there will be a safe product. But still we have to prove the safety of the product. And once the product is authentic, standardized, and it is safe, and definitely it is going to be efficacious. But still we have to prove the efficacy before getting the approval and getting into the market. These are the steps which are followed in the current scenario. And these were the steps were followed earlier also in ancient period also, and the same are relevant in current scenario also. So we have to stick to Ayurvedic principle and follow the same to make a effective medicine. And before concluding, I would like to thank again Parul University for giving me an opportunity, and uh, Dean Dr. Toshikane sir, Principal B.G. Kulkarni sir, and Dr. Prasanna Mathad and Anita Madam for giving me an opportunity. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. It's indeed a very good presentation. I should say it's a very good blend of the technology and the tradition. And sir has elaborately explained us the factors influencing the formulation, design of the formulations, and all nicely elaborated by you, sir. And although also the different protocols to be followed, like clinical protocols and analytical procedures to be adopted while discovering a new drug, has been nicely put forth by you, sir. And very truly said that quality is never an accident, and research is a continuous process, and it is very much required, especially in the field of pharmaceutics, for the development of new drug discovery and the validation of the drug. There are certain questions which are put forth by the viewers. It's a question by Pallavi G. Prasad, that do the classical formulations possess less efficacy when dosage forms are changed? For example, Chyawanprash changed from Leha to the granules.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely there will be a logic behind the preparation of an avaleha, and why Chyawanprash is in the avaleha form, and it is not in the other forms, like what she said, granules and all. Then nowadays there is a confectionaries are also coming. There is also some other these are coming. They're just like they are compromising with the principles of Ayurveda here. So when we such changes without considering the Ayurvedic principles, so there is bound to be a efficacy issue always. So we should stick to the principle. That's what we believe in it.
Yes, sir, rightly said. Without deviating from the basic principles which is explained in our classes, we should change the classical medicine to the suitable dosage form.
Yeah.
And the second question is by Jyoti Joshi. Sir, whether active principle versus whole drug study has been done?
Pardon, I didn't get.
whether the active principle, the isolated active principle maybe, versus whole drug study has been conducted.
There are some articles in we get that such studies have been done, but as our industry, as of us, we have not done this actually. And especially if for Doodh Paw pressure, we are not doing any isolation process. We are not separating marker compounds. We are not using. We are into the traditional manufacturing process. So we are using whole drug as it is. But there are some articles. If we can go through website, we will get so many articles. This certain articles are that it is not so much effective also there, and some are there effective also. So there's confusing data is available on the net.
Okay, so there is another question. A difference between proprietary medicine and the classical medicine with respect to the cost having the similar ingredients.
With respect to?
The cost, price of the medicine.
Price of the medicine of classical as well as? Classical
as well as a proprietary medicine, if they are prepared using the similar ingredients.
Earlier, there used to be a different tax system for these medicines. Classical, there is a different tax, and for the proprietary, there was a different tax. By introduction of this GST, there is no much difference as such. And if it is the price difference is there, then maybe that manufacturing technique or stage or steps are different. So because of that, the cost difference may be there.
Okay, here's the last question, sir. Is it possible to adopt all the principles in the pharma production in bulk, in the preparation of bulk drugs?
Yes. Yes, one has to do that. All the principles has to.
If it is in the bulk production, like in 100 kgs or 200 kgs, so all the principles that has been told in the classicals, can it be convenient to adopt those procedures and prepare the medicines?
Yes, maybe even all the pharmaceutical industries, if you have to prepare a Quatha, if it has to be, it can be 1 kg or 100 kg or even 3000 kg. They are adopting that, making the bigger vessels and putting the same quantity of water what has been mentioned in the classical text and preparing the Quatha as mentioned in the text only. So there is no such deviation. One has to, and I think most of them are following that, and no deviation is being observed there. And if you do, there is a regulation, regulatory officer. They keep on checking those things.
Thank you, sir. And finally, congratulate and thank Dr. R.V. Goody, sir, for his excellent deliberation of the topic with his valuable inputs. Thank you, sir. And I also thank Dr. Hemant Toshikhane, sir, and Dr. B.G. Kulkarni, sir, to come up with such a wonderful theme for the discussion. And I'm even grateful to the management for their endless support. And I shall be at the fault if I don't take the name of Dr. Navodaya Raju for his technical support for the conduction of the webinar. And I would like to conclude the session with a message that use of right medicine in right dose for a right element for right period of time, and most important is at the right price, is a rational practice to be adopted by all the pharma industries. And stay connected to us for another topic of discussion for tomorrow at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. by Dr. Vijayendra Prakash, sir, General Manager, Regulatory Corporate Affairs, Himalaya Drug Company. And he is going to speak on regulatory affairs in pharmacy practices. Thank you, and thank you one and all for joining us.